Today, we're diving into groundbreaking research that reveals how the junk food many of us consume daily could be delivering an unexpected and dangerous payload directly to our brains. The implications for depression, dementia, and overall mental health are more serious than anyone expected. Ultra-processed foods now make up more than half of what Americans eat. But what if these convenient meals are doing more than expanding our waistlines? What if they're literally filling our brains with plastic? The evidence is mounting, and it's something we all need to understand. Scientists have been finding microplastics everywhere, in sea turtles, drinking water, even human testicles. But the discovery of significant amounts in our brains has researchers particularly concerned. A new review study published in Brain Medicine makes a compelling case that microplastics might be the missing link between ultra-processed foods and neurological disorders. Let's break down what researchers discovered. Lead author Nicholas Fabiano from the University of Ottawa and his team analyzed multiple studies showing that the more processed a food is, the more plastic particles it contains. One particularly alarming example: chicken nuggets contain about 30 times more microplastics than plain chicken breasts. Every step of processing and packaging introduces more of these tiny plastic fragments into our food. The real problem begins when these particles make their way into our bodies. For years, scientists wondered how microplastics could possibly cross the blood-brain barrier, that protective shield designed to keep harmful substances away from our brains. According to researchers at the University of New Mexico, these plastic particles are essentially hitching a ride on fat molecules, sneaking past our body's natural defenses. Once inside the brain, these microplastics trigger oxidative stress, damaging cells and disrupting normal function. The research team found that they particularly impact neurotransmitters involved in conditions like depression and dementia. This might explain why people who consume more ultra-processed foods show significantly higher rates of these very disorders. As co-author Wolfgang Marx from Deakin University explains, ultra-processed foods have been linked to adverse mental health through inflammation, oxidative stress, epigenetics, mitochondrial dysfunction, and disruptions to neurotransmitter systems. Microplastics appear to operate through remarkably similar pathways. The overlap is too significant to ignore. Previous studies already established that heavy consumers of ultra-processed foods face higher risks of depression, anxiety, poor sleep, and dementia. Now we're beginning to understand why. It may not just be the sugar, salt, and unhealthy fats, but the actual plastic particles these foods deliver to our brains. Even more concerning is how pervasive this problem has become. In countries like the United States, ultra-processed foods now account for more than 50% of total caloric intake. Think about that. Half of what many people eat could be delivering plastic directly to their brains, and we're not just talking about obvious junk food. Many items marketed as convenient or even somewhat healthy could be contributing to this invisible crisis. This isn't just about avoiding the occasional fast food meal. The plastic problem extends to food packaging, processing methods, and even seemingly innocent products like chewing gum, which researchers have found releases thousands of microplastic particles into our saliva with each chew. But there is some hope on the horizon. In a complementary study also published in Brain Medicine, researchers have found the first evidence that a medical technique called extracorporeal apheresis might help remove microplastics from the body. It's a procedure that's already used worldwide for various medical purposes, including certain types of blood donation and stem cell collection. The process works by extracting blood, separating it into plasma and blood cells, filtering out unwanted substances like microplastics from the plasma, and then returning the cleaned blood to the patient. In tests with 21 patients, researchers found that at least 2 rounds of this double filtration technique successfully removed microplastics from their bloodstream. Lead author Stefan Bornstein from King's College London cautions that while these findings are promising, much more research is needed before this becomes a standard treatment. The best approach is still prevention, reducing our exposure to microplastics in the first place. So, what can we do to protect ourselves? The most effective strategy is to reduce consumption of ultra-processed foods in favor of whole, minimally processed alternatives. Fresh fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and unprocessed meats contain significantly fewer microplastic particles. When possible, choose foods with minimal packaging, especially avoiding heating food in plastic containers, which can accelerate the release of particles into your meals. Additionally, being mindful of other sources of microplastics, like synthetic clothing fibers, certain cosmetics, and single-use plastics, can help reduce your overall exposure. While we can't completely eliminate microplastics from our environment, we can take meaningful steps to minimize their presence in our bodies. The global plastic crisis is worsening by the day, with implications that extend far beyond environmental concerns. It's becoming increasingly clear that plastic pollution isn't just an external problem, it's literally getting inside us, potentially affecting our mental health and cognitive function in ways we're only beginning to understand. As this research continues to develop, one thing becomes increasingly clear. The convenience of ultra-processed foods may come with a much higher cost than we ever imagined. What was once just a concern about nutritional value has evolved into something far more sinister. The possibility that these foods are delivering substances directly to our brains that could contribute to serious neurological disorders. What do you think about this research? Has it changed how you might approach your food choices going forward? Let me know in the comments below. The studies discussed today were published in the May 2025 issue of Brain Medicine, with lead authors Nicholas Fabiano and Stefan Bornstein. As scientists continue investigating this crucial link between our diet, microplastics, and brain health, we'll keep you updated on the latest findings that could help us all make better decisions for our long-term well-being.